So I want to talk today about flower essence. It's something that kind of ebbs and flows in popularity. At one point it was like, oh, so woo-woo. And now, especially with the advent of quantum science, where more and more validity is being given to subtle energy, people are paying attention. So I kind of want to explain a little bit about it. In the 1930s, a doctor named Edward Bach discovered that he was an MD. People would come to him and they would have certain illnesses or conditions or diseases. And he recognized that underneath every condition, every chronic condition, every disease, doesn't matter what it is, there's always an emotional component. And he discovered in his research, and remember he was a medical doctor, he discovered that there were similarities. And I'm being arbitrary here because I don't know the exact process. I mean, of course I've read about it, but I can't remember verbatim. But let's say, for example, people who have liver cancer have repressed anger. So he made this discovery and he created flower essence as a way to help balance the emotional aspect to a disease or condition. And how, I have no idea how he discovered it. Was he on a walk one morning and he said, hey, I'm going to take a morning glory and I'm going to make an essence out of it? I don't know. But here's what I do know. That I think there are, I should know this number. Is it 32? I forget, 22? There are a certain number of flower frequencies. His most famous one is Rescue Remedy. And they just come in little bottles like this. You can get them at health food stores. You can order them online. I like Mimulus. I like Larch. I like Olive. I like Impatience for people who are impatient. But here's how they work. And I talk about this in my previous book on subtle energy. It's a lot like homeopathics, different but similar in that they take a flower and they put it in water and then they remove the flower from the water. So the water is just like water. Now they use alcohol or spirits of some kind so that the water doesn't go bad or rancid. But at the end of the day, there's not really much in it, but the essence of the flower. It's a vibrational medicine. I first wrote about flower essence in my book, Get Well Now, which was published 22 years ago, so a really long time ago. But I've never stopped using them. I've never stopped advocating for flower essences, but I'm going to share a little bit more with you in how they work. When we use an herb, or even a pharmaceutical, that has a chemical reaction with our third dimensional body. We are physical beings, right? Well, we look like we're physical. We feel like we're physical with our senses. So nutrition and herbs and pharmaceuticals, they have a chemical and biological reaction, okay? Flower essence are sending a vibrational signal to a person's soul, to a person's spirituality. So, let's look, what does olive do? If I don't have energy, and how would you use it? You would just take and do a drop under your tongue. Some people like to mix it in water. And here's the thing, you don't take it like a vitamin. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do this every morning. You take it as a moment of meditation and let it sit there and just be silent for a moment. But understand that it has a vibrational, even essential oils, they're working electrochemically with your skin, and it's energetic for sure. But flower essence are pure vibration. Now, Bach had been the only flower essence for many, many years. And what we have secondarily is called Australian flower essence. Australian flower essence are much more transformational and they're deeper, but I don't want you to watch this and go, okay, that's what I want to do. Let's not work with this Bach flower remedies. Let's go right to the good stuff. And I caution you against that. If you haven't worked with flower essence at all, start with Bach. And it's really easy. You know, you can go online, you can ask 𝒏𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂, but they'll tell you what the emotion is. Now, with my AO scanner, and I'm not even going to talk about radionics because obviously I can use this with radionics as well, but my AO scanner, which is a digital electronic version of radionics, a little more automated, I can have a person in there and I can scan them and say what flower essence do they need. And I'm only working with that device. I only work with Bach. And so it'll say this person, they're feeling frustrated, so they need impatience. And then without buying any bottles at all, I can go on and I can broadcast, that means send out, the essence of impatience, of flower essence remedy. I can send that to that individual. So they don't have to go to the store and buy it, whatever. Well, why do I have them all here? Well, I have them because if I'm working on traditional radionics, my KRT machine, and I scan, and I may do it on my AO scanner, and I'm like, okay, this person needs impatience. That's what makes their general vitality go up. Then I may just take this bottle, put it in my well, make sure it increases their energy, their general vitality, and then I will broadcast it that way. But in either case, I'm not calling my client or texting my client and saying, hey, you need some rescue remedy. I'm giving it to them. And you can ask yourself, if you've never watched any radionics videos or understand how that works, you can ask yourself, well, how could that work? How could she be sitting in Carmichael, California, and send me rescue remedy? And it's the same way the rescue remedy works. This is just the essence of a flower. There's not flower juice in here. It's the essence of a flower, it's vibration. And you know what? In quantum science, quantum physics, there is no space and time. It's absolutely irrelevant. There is no space and time. And it's all vibrational. The whole universe is vibrational. You know, if you really get into it and you understand that when you are looking at me right now on this screen, I'm not even really here. And you're not even really there. And it gets really, really trippy and like, you know, way over our heads because we are physical beings in a physical reality that we think is a physical reality. It's a holographic reality, but you know what I mean. And so it's hard for us to connect the dots. But when you understand that everything is vibrational, then Bach flower essences are a really, really good way to start. Now, after if you're doing this, I mean, if I'm doing it to you radionically, then you don't need to worry about it. You're getting it. But if you're doing this on your own and you go to your health food store or you order online, read all the descriptions and don't, you know, it's not going to do you good to get 5, right? That's not how this works. Pick one that resonates with you. Maybe if you get stage fright, get rescue remedy, and then just do it before you go on the stage or before you get on video or whatever. And notice how it calms your emotions. Bach flower remedies are intended to balance out your emotions. That's what they're really good at. Now, if you are one of my clients or someone who gets a scan from me every now and then, and I send you tones, that's exactly the same thing that tones do. The tones, however, are doing it based on your brain and the vibrations of the sound. This is doing it on your emotions and the vibrations of the flower. So we can use both. We should use both, right? Now, after you've done and worked with a Bach flower remedy, whether it's with me or you go to the health food store and you buy one, after you've tried one, give it a few months. Work with one flower essence at a time. Then you can graduate to the Australian. Now, on my Healy device, which I use with more, I use it with some clients, but I only use Australian flower remedies with people who I have put through the Bach flower remedies first. Because like I said, it's like if you're learning to swim, you're going to start wading around in the 3-foot pool to learn how to swim. I'm not going to throw you into the 12-foot and say, hey, hope you can swim. Australian flower remedies are the 12-foot pool. And if you use them prematurely and your energy, your emotions are not at a place where you're ready for it, you know, your electromagnetic field is not receptive to it, you'll have nightmares. I'm not kidding. You really will. And it's just not, it's not a good thing. I strongly recommend that people start with Bach remedies. And so just try it. And you'll notice that it's like Dr. Bach made what I think is the most brilliant discovery, in that every single condition is somehow related to your emotions. And someone can say to me, well, what about people who have children who have a devastating disease? Well, that was the emotion of the parents, right? And I'm not going to get into, in this video especially, into past lives and soul agreements and contracts and all of that. But I 100% believe, I know that we all come here for a certain purpose. And so even if it's a tragedy, like a child having a disease or being taken from us too young, which I don't wish that on anyone ever. I can't even imagine. But at the same time, everything has a purpose. And if there's anyone who's struggling with any kind of condition, chronic, terminal, acute, whatever it is, there's an emotional component that has to be addressed. Even if you want to argue with me, well, I got that from environmental. Okay, but just the fact that you have it now, there's an emotional aspect. Like, oh no, I can't support myself because I'm sick, I can't work. Or, oh no, whatever the pain causes. Emotions are always part of any condition. And Dr. Bach recognized that. And so what he has engineered, and think about it, this is 2025, and he devised this in I think it was 1930 or 1932, and it's still going strong because there's validity to it. There's science behind it, and there's evidence. It helps you. The problem that I have come across, back before I did radionics, I would say, to a client, I really feel like you would do well with some olive, Bach flower remedies. Get some olive, go to your health food store, because back then, we barely had internet. So I would just recommend it and they would go buy it. And they would say, I just don't notice a difference. And that's because we're so used to pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals and herbs. They have a rather rapid response time because there's a chemical component going on. With flower essence, it's not chemical, it's energetic. And your emotions are energetic and vibrational. And so, when you take Rescue Remedy, it's not going to be like you get high, like you just took a Vicodin or something. It's going to calm you vibrationally with your emotions. So it's very subtle. Hence, we call it subtle energy. And a lot of people, especially in today's society, we want answers. We want quick. We want fast. We want drive-through delivery. Give it to me now. Flower essence, a flower remedy is the universe's way of saying, slow down. Let the vibration of this flower permeate your energy field, your biofield, and do its magic. And they are nothing short of magic when you approach it from that attitude and from a place of groundedness. If you're all hyper and wigged out and your nervous system is all, like this, all constricted, it's not going to make a difference. You're going to taste it and you're going to be like, yeah, whatever. So part of the beauty of it, to me, is the ritual of closing your eyes and putting a couple drops under your tongue and just breathing. And it does work. They do work. So after you use whatever remedy you found, and I'm a big fan, actually, of using the Bach remedies for several months. That's just me, when you're first starting out. And then you can move up. If you come to me and I do a session on you with my Healy, I will check you if you're ready for an Australian. And I won't use Australian flower remedies on someone unless I've worked with them and been using Bach on them. I just won't, because I think it's irresponsible. I think it's irresponsible mistreating people energetically. And so I will always start with my Bach. But I have clients who I work with all the time who have done through radionics. I have sent plenty of Bach remedies to. And then every now and then I'll say, I think that, they need something deeper. It's layer work. It's layer. So if you, let's say you went to a surgeon and I'm just giving you a weird analogy here. You went to a surgeon and you had a tumor, and the only way to remove the tumor or growth, whatever, is to do it in layers. You wouldn't necessarily go right in there with an excavation and just dig the whole thing out and, you know, leave a big gaping hole. So flower essence are kind of like that. Your flower remedies work on layers. And so the first half, you could say, of this growth would be the Bach remedies. So do those layers and get through them. And then when you feel the transformation and you know that you feel differently, how do you know? Life is beautiful, right? Life is more beautiful. You are more abundant. Your health improves. Your relationships are stronger and more fulfilling. You feel more joy when you wake up. It's subtle, but it's profound. Then you can say, okay, now I want to explore flower. You know, and one of the Australian ones that I really recommend is the 5-flower formula. Can you see that? The 5-flower formula is really great at getting to the next level. But if you just start taking this now, you're diving right in, and I personally don't subscribe to that. That's why I love radionics, because I can treat my clients or people who just come for, you know, a session or 3, and I can treat them by gauging where they're at and what they're ready for. I can do a scan and say, where's this person's energy? What do they need? So, you know, has anyone ever come to me and my radionics was like, yeah, they can go right to Australian? It's happened, but it's not that common. So that is my take on flower remedies, and I strongly recommend them. Again, Bach is spelled B-A-C-H. They're all over the place. Make sure you get the real deal. A lot of other people make these, and I can't validate because I only use Bach or Australian. Those are the only 2 that I use because I know how well researched they are and how well cultivated their flowers are and their process, because that has a lot to do with it, right? I mean, you want someone, you don't want to just buy a bottle of something that someone says, this is rose and it's going to do this with you. You don't know. So you want to really make sure that you're using quality products, or you want to come to me and let me do my radionics magic on you and give you flower essence that way, where I can really gauge what you need and when you need it. And then you don't have to even buy anything, except for, of course, sessions with me. But either way, whatever you do, give it a try, because we are at a time on our planet right now where there's such division, and, you know, it's you're either going that way or that way. And when I say that way, I mean that way. And there's a lot of people who are getting consumed in the nervous system tension and the division and the fighting and the anger and the you know, being really, really closed down. And that's a repellent energy. And you're not going to attract, you're not going to manifest if you have a repellent energy. So flower remedies are one of the ways that we open our energy up, that we become more loving, that we become more grateful, that we become more expanded. So I'm all for it. I'm a big fan of Bach and Australian, and anything that helps make you feel better as a human, I'm all for it, as long as it's, you know, legal and moral and all that. Okay, so have a beautiful day. I hope you found some use in this, and let me know what you think. Bye-bye for now.